Hey everybody, and welcome to the updated 2024 tour of InfernoFox Gaming's Gameroom. Last time I did a tour was back in 2022, and we've got a few different changes, but let's go ahead and start from the top. The first part of the Gameroom tour features the north wall, and it is indicative of the overall theme of video game heroines. And as we can see here, we've got a lot of art and, of course, our namesake for the channel, Fira the InfernoFox. But starting with the art, in the upper left-hand corner, we have representative the piece of art by Sita Navas, which is from Super Metroid, and it's like a Mayan representation of the final battle between Samus and Mother Brain. Below that, we have a piece of art by Dave Raposa, sort of theming Samus with the various monsters that she must face in the game. Next to that is a piece of art by Crystal Faye, where we got a lot of the main character, all the playable characters really from Final Fantasy VI, and you can really tell she has a lot of love for the character Celeste in the upper left-hand corner, fighting the main villain Kefka in the upper right, and it's just an overall wonderful piece. Below that, we have two pieces of art by Stephanie, and I believe her handle is Dice SMS. The top one is Samus, and you can see Samus in her suit and a little bit of an under illustration or a below illustration of her beneath or behind the mask. And then we have Renoa from Final Fantasy VIII. And then next up we have Makoto. We've got a few pieces of art for Makoto. We have this one here by Dat Cravat and a smaller piece by artist Cass Kiraga. And we have another one where she has her mask off or pulled up, and this one is by Alina Lal. And then we have two more pieces by Cass Kiraga. We have Renoa and we have Terra. And finally, really the crowning piece to this particular wall is a piece of art that I had commissioned artist Quirkalicious to create, where it shows really three of my favorite video game heroines, being Samus, Terra, and Makoto, and my partner Jamie Owl's two favorites, Renoa and Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. And these really highlight the overall theme and feel of these video game heroines. And a newer addition that is different from the 2022 Gameroom is this small cabinet. And in this cabinet here, we have a lot of video game heroine, or specifically Final Fantasy heroines, statues and figures. We have Tifa in her party dress along with Aerith, and we have got a sort of regular Aerith figure behind that, and another Dice SMS piece of art behind that. Then to the right, we have Zelda from Breath of the Wild with a small Celeste figure sort of posing behind her. And the piece of art behind is a printed copy from Hungrybox. Again, all of the artists I'll make sure to link in the description below, so if you're interested in any pieces of art by said artist, you'll be able to pull that up yourself. Then we have some amiibos of Zelda in her various forms: Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, Tears of the Kingdom, as well as a couple other princesses. Behind that is Pyra amiibo. And then finally, we have some art and figures of Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses, with a piece of art by Dat Cravat behind her, and a figure of Makoto from Persona 5. This is really a cool piece of art behind Makoto, as it was drawn by C. Molden and signed by the voice actress of Makoto when I went to the Too Many Games convention in 2024. And so this is really an excellent collection, and I'm just really excited to have it. Here's another one of our friends here, as you can see, who is also admiring the art. Next up is the eastern wall of the Gameroom tour. And you're going to be noticing a little bit of shifting of the lights as the overall tour continues. And this is, of course, to try and avoid some of the reflections. You're, of course, going to see a few reflections of me during the tour, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to first show off the Final Fantasy portion of the items here, and we have a small figure of Rinoa, which sort of pairs along with the art by Cascuraga. But we have here some of the pieces, some pieces that I'm really excited to have. A Distant Worlds Celebration t-shirt in a frame. And these frames are interesting. They're called Shart frames. I didn't name them. That's what they're called. But having this particular t-shirt that I had saved for some time from a concert, I'm actually able to hang up. So I'm really cool to have that. I have this cool Final Fantasy clock that I had ordered from Etsy, so you know exactly what time Final Fantasy it is. Got a picture of my partner and I with Nobuo Uematsu and Arnie Roth when we did a VIP meet and greet, and this is probably one of the possessions that I'm most proud to have. I featured it in a collab that I did with Emily, aka Orbalology, and on a video. And I was really honored to have met Nobu-san. So, and I got a small pin here from Canvas Quest featuring the first Final Fantasy. Then I've got a Final Fantasy X and a Final Fantasy VII shirt, and these were the special anniversary editions. And to that end, I also have a Final Fantasy VI shirt. And this is a small Final Fantasy VI shrine where you see I have the Super Famicom version, a Canvas Quest pin of Mog, and a specially made 3D box where it's designed to be held with my copy of Final Fantasy III, again, same as 6, along with a lot of the sprites that you can see adorning the sides of the frame. And it features one of my favorite scenes from the game with the Falcon rising from the ocean. And then we've got here this really funny, I love this Blitz Comics thing. It's a sort of mock-up of the Superman first issue, except it's Saban doing the Blitz. And then one of my favorite scenes from Final Fantasy VI, and it's one of my favorite scenes from The Simpsons being mocked up here. And this, of course, is from the Cape Fear episode of The Simpsons. I love this because, of course, this is with Edgar and his chainsaw terrorizing poor Terra. So, and then continuing the Final Fantasy stuff, this is my collector's edition of the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. To that end, this is my Final Fantasy physical collection, and you can see here is the Switch version of it, and it is the American one. And then we also have the rest of my Final Fantasy Switch games. And these bookends I also had specially made because on one end is Locke, my favorite Final Fantasy VI character, or really favorite Final Fantasy character, and Rinoa, which is Jamie Owl's favorite Final Fantasy character. And we've got a Final Fantasy III sort of mock-up physical version of what it would look like if it had gotten an NES release versus just being Famicom. Inside is the Famicom cartridge. Got the special edition of, the deluxe edition of Final Fantasy 16 and a Famicom version, Final Fantasy V. But again, we got Switch Final Fantasies, PlayStation 4, PSP, PlayStation 2, PS1, DS, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy. Your question is, where are the Super Nintendo and Nintendo versions? Those are coming. You still own them, but unfortunately I do not anymore. I will be getting them. So next up are items in this particular display case, and we're really sticking with the Final Fantasy theming here, as we've got some Final Fantasy 1 pins, a Locke sort of stand here from Etsy, a 3D model of the Final Fantasy Dissidia version of Locke, got a couple Sephiroth figures, a copy of the strategy guide from Final Fantasy 1 that Nintendo Power released. That is a reprint. I do not have the original anymore, unfortunately. Then we have some excellent Cloud statues here, and these are the rare version of the Final Fantasy VII static arts line, I believe back from like 2013, as well as the newest version that from 2023, as well as some of the smaller figures and whatnot. And then if we go down, we're going to start exiting the Final Fantasy section and get into some Persona. And with this Persona collection, see, it's a small Persona 5 shrine here featuring Joker. Got a piece of art on the right side from Dat Cravat. Got a small 8 or 9 inch figure. Got a couple of the masks. One of these I used for cosplay for a Halloween party. The other was from the Persona 5 Royal Deluxe Edition. Behind there, I got Sans, as you can see, and I got a small Mario Kart shrine. This Mario Kart figure is from First 4 Figures. They are an awesome, awesome, awesome statue company. Definitely recommend them. And I say that because the next section of this display case is focused on Metroid. We have the Light Suit Samus Metroid, along with some versions of the various video games of Metroid, and then my favorite statue, probably still my favorite statue of all time in my collection, the Various Suit Samus, 21 inches tall, and she is surrounded by other figures and whatnot of Samus that I have, either from Etsy or other shops from Etsy like Canvas Quest. Got the Hallmark ornament there, and the Samus Varia suit base. I love it. It is the Metroid logo. It is fantastic. Overall, this is a wonderful shrine to Metroid. Continuing the East Wall tour, we have Samus here on this stand, this Samus helmet, again from First 4 Figures. It does come with a stand, and the stand is indicative of what the save station would look like, but I don't like it. I like just the helmet on its own, because when I put the Samus helmet on top of the save station stand, it kind of looks like a head sort of on a pike. I don't like that imagery. It didn't sit right with me. Next up, we have an arcade, and this is actually a cat arcade that we ordered from Target, as not only is this the game room, but this is also where the cats like to look out the window. And so this cat arcade sort of fits the whole game room motif while being friendly to our little animals, as you can see here. This little animal's name is Zio, and she is also part and parcel with the game room. But continuing the East Wall, at the top part here, you're going to see all of the Legend of Zelda Link amiibo. So, and I have this ordered by the release of the Zelda games. So, of course, we have the first Zelda, we have Link's Awakening, we have 2 from Ocarina of Time, we have one from Majora's Mask, we have 2 representing Wind Waker, we have 3 from Twilight Princess, and then we have 1 from Skyward Sword. We have 2 from Breath of the Wild, and then finally 1 from Tears of the Kingdom. And then the next part of the wall features more 3D art. We got some imagery from the Super Mario series, Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers. We have, to the right of there is a 3D box representing Link drawing the Master Sword, which is awesome. We have a couple ornaments hanging around there, but I also have 2 copies of Chrono Trigger. I have the Super Famicom Japanese version, and then the actual physical version of the North American Super Nintendo version. And this one is courtesy of the Vash the Hillbilly collection. To the right of that is a 3D box of the fantastic scene when they are in the forest. And below that is one from Super Metroid and one of my favorite scenes from Donkey Kong Country 2, the very end of the game. And we got some cool 3D arts of Super Mario World, the ending, and then the very beginning part of Yoshi's Island. Because I just love how colorful these are, and they're just really indicative of the game. Below that, we just got a poster from Super Mario 64, but we also have this excellent Super Smash Bros. Ultimate art that includes all of the characters as well as the DLC. Artists, again, Quirkalicious, absolutely recommend their art. And right by my desk here by my MacBook, you'll see a physical copy of the deluxe edition of The Messenger for the Switch. This was a very expensive get that I picked up, but I had to do it because I'm an idiot. I loved that game. I cannot recommend that enough. And then this is actually just my workstation. Nothing too crazy here. Got a specially made light of my name, as well as some coasters. I have the Final Fantasy VI large mouse pad surrounded by an NES style sort of rest support. And then the last part of the east wall I want to show you is part of this display case, and it's split into two parts. The first part is a Super Mario and Yoshi shrine. The pinnacle of this is probably my second favorite statue. Again, this is from First Four Figures, and it's going to be of Mario and Yoshi. And this is really featured from New Super Mario Brothers, or I think maybe even New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Don't care what it's featured from, but I just love this representative. And Yoshi is Jamie L's favorite Nintendo character. Might be one of her all time. Behind Mario is a really cool poster of Mario collecting a star. I also have a number of standees from Super Mario World, as you can see. I've got the classic Super Mario Adventures comic from Nintendo Power. Got the Super Mario Brothers 35th edition pins. And we got the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch, a couple of the pixel arts, and just a few of the amiibo in the back. And complementing Mario is another character, but blue. No, it's not Sonic. It's Mega Man. And really the only reason I got Mega Man in here is I did have a Sonic sort of representation here, was that Mega Man actually fit better in here, especially with all the various things I collected. And we've got two statues from First Four Figures. These are freaking amazing. We've got Mega Man, a classic Mega Man running on like a Metal Man treadmill, and then one representing Mega Man 11. But look at the detail on this. You see the little Met character and a missile flying in the background. It's phenomenal. He is surrounded by a Mega Man 2 and 3 and a Mega Man X album. Those are the three greatest soundtracks for Mega Man. And a couple of Mega Man standees and pixel arts. And we've got a couple amiibos in the back, as well as a 3D box art. But overall, a fantastic Mega Man shrine. The next part of the tour I want to feature is the southern wall. And fans of InfernoFox Gaming will probably recognize this specific segment, as I do most of my in-person videos. And this is really featuring the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate art and the game overall. And this was really such a pinnacle of Smash Brothers itself. Really loved this game and just really everything that it brought out in the series overall. The first part here is just some printouts of some screenshots of my 6 mains. And I know 6 mains, what are you doing? You should focus on 1 or 2. But all the characters in this game are fantastic. And I main these mostly because I like the characters themselves as well, and then as well as their playstyles. So that's really my sort of video game loving logic on that. Next up is this official art of Cloud and Link clashing, which was drawn by official Final Fantasy artists when Cloud was announced for Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. This was such a monumental addition to Smash overall. I often say to my friends who roll their eyes whenever they talk about stuff that's not possible, I always say, anything is possible. Cloud is in Smash. They roll their eyes, but they have a good laugh, and yeah. Then we got this fantastic art here as well. This is really focusing on the 12 main original Super Smash Bros. Characters. This is just a screenshot of Sora from the Sora trailer, he of course being the last DLC character being added, and then there's the cool Sora amiibo, and then finally here is the Everybody Is Here mural that I had gotten printed, This, of course, includes all of the DLC characters, and then a couple copies of Smash, where you see Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the Melee Edition. And kind of going from here, we have a wonderful Yoshi shrine. And this is funny because this is a bunch of the stuffed animals that I'd gotten for Jamie Owls. And the Mario on Yoshi statue actually came with this egg on a stand. So I figured, why not turn it into a Yoshi shrine? In the background, you can see a piece of art of Yoshi that is drawn by the artist Amy Roser. So next up is my display cabinet, and it is going to feature sort of a shrine to my favorite Nintendo character, that obviously being Luigi. Because you have to respect the L or you'll get the shell. We got Luigi on a number of different Mario Karts, and some of these are just general Hot Wheels. This is from the Mario Kart home circuit game. This is just an RC car. Got a couple of standees and ornaments. This is a really rare figure. This was a figure from the new Super Mario Brothers Wii version. It was a figure that was made available in Japan only. There's a Mario variant on a green Yoshi, which is where the first four figures statue is sort of modeled from. Behind this, we've just got a couple different pixel art boxes, and then we've got Luigi with the Polterpup. That's another first four figures statue, but that's my overall Luigi shrine. I'm really hoping that First Four Figures does an official Mario Kart statue, because I'm an idiot. I will flip and buy it. The next section is a combination Legend of Zelda shrine as well as others. The Zelda portion, we have here a figure of Link. I believe this was done by Dark Horse from Skyward Sword. We have a First Four Figures Breath of the Wild Link, along with an ornament to match. We've got the Hylian shield behind as well, and then behind the Hylian shield is the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past comic from Nintendo Power. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the original NES cartridges. My older brother had sold them all years and years ago, but for some reason, I always had saved the instruction manual, and there it is. In front of it is the Game & Watch, along with a number of really cool standees, as well as pin from Canvas Quest, and this really cool Master Sword letter opener. The next part of the Legend of Zelda shrine features the Link from Twilight Princess on I believe this was done from Dark Horse as well. We've got an amiibo that I very poorly painted red, and this is the Twilight Princess Smash Brothers amiibo. And got some custom-made cartridges of Legend of Zelda Season of Ages and Oracles, a Zelda 1 ornament, and then behind that is Twilight Princess comic books, all 11 volumes. And we got some Ganondorf amiibos and cool Link pixel art standees. And you're seeing some sort of focus that was beyond Zelda next to them. To the right of the top portion is the Star Fox R-Wing, and this was done by First Four Figures. This is an amazing figure of the R-Wing itself, and it represents the 3-month period where all I played was Star Fox 64, trying to break the world record of having the highest score. And I don't know whether or not I actually did it, or if I did, it was maybe only held for a week or two, but it was a lot of fun to be able to play it over and over again. Got some Star Fox amiibo behind it. Got a special 3D printed version of the Blue Falcon from F-Zero. I'm really hoping that First Four Figures does a PVC version of it. And then we're gonna start to get to some Sonic the Hedgehog. We got a whole bunch of these smaller 3 or 4 inch figures by First Four Figures. A couple standees behind that. Got a Sonic the Hedgehog ornament behind there. I really like these figures, as well as this special Sega Genesis ornament from Hallmark. And then finally, for the Sega portion, we got the 25th anniversary edition of Sonic the Hedgehog. This is an awesome figure. I call it Cake Sonic because it is so thick. The base is so thick, even our cat Zio agrees. And as Zio is exploring and checking it out, she is looking at this fantastic Kirby statue from First Four Figures. And I think, honestly, the base is a little big, but his happy look and the detail and the star itself and everything is fantastic. It's awesome. So as we finish out the south wall version of the tour, I'll show this particular shelf where I've got a large number of my actual video game collection. And I'm not going to go through everything, otherwise we'd just be here all day as I go through this all. The first part of this, of course, is this Marth statue, which is excellent, the detail and everything, and wanted to pick that up, as well as this amiibo of Roy, where I specially painted it gold, because these two being and matching the Smash Brothers motif, it was really Smash itself that introduced me to Fire Emblem and a number of series as well, surprisingly, like the Persona and even Dragon Quest. Like, how crazy is that? Smash introducing me. But that's the fantastic aspect of Super Smash Brothers. Moving on from there, I have my Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior collection, all of the NES mainline versions, the Super Famicom versions, the PlayStation 1, Game Boy Color, PlayStation 2, the DS, 3DS, and Switch versions. I think I'm missing a couple of the mainline games. Again, no spin-offs. I don't do spin-off games usually of like Dragon Quest or even Final Fantasy, but that's the whole collection. If I pan down here, it's going to show my Game Boy Advance, GameCube, and Wii collection, along with a physical copy of Soul Blazer for the Super Nintendo. It's a favorite game of mine. And it's just, it looks like it's rather small. This is kind of what I call like my lost era of gaming, where I didn't really play a lot of new sort of evergreen titles. I focused a lot with sort of social, the overall multiplayer games. I did a video about this like a year or so ago, as this was around the age of when I was in my 20s. So just kind of that whole era. And then I've got this little lanyard from Nintendo Live 2023. Next up is my Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Nintendo DS, and 3DS collection. I've actually grown my 3DS collection quite a bit thanks to VGP.ca. That again is VGP.ca, where they have a lot of physical copies of the 3DS games and everything. It's been really quite excellent getting a lot of rare games like the Shin Megami Tensei series. But this is really funny too, because I don't like the 3DS. I don't like it. And when I say I don't like it, I mean like the how it physically feels in my hands. I don't like the circle joystick, but I cannot deny that there had been a lot of fantastic games on this console. So maybe someday the Analog Pocket people will be able to do a more or better feeling sort of handheld that can play the DS and 3DS games. Next up is my Nintendo Switch collection. At some point, I will do an overall tour of these games and sort of explain my thoughts and feelings. And then below that is all of my video game books, up to and including a lot of the Ultimania games from Final Fantasy, a special coffee table like pixel art book. We got games from the Nintendo and Super Nintendo. These particular books were released alongside of the mini consoles. We have the excellent Pat Contri guides to the NES and SNES libraries. These are absolutely fantastic. Pat is quite knowledgeable in these consoles. I'm hoping his Nintendo 64 book will be coming out soon. We have two books from, I believe it is Bitmap Books, a handheld history and guide to JRPGs. I actually haven't read that handheld history book yet, but I've read all of the guide of the Japanese role-playing game. The cover art for it was done by Dice SMS. It looks fantastic. The book itself is extremely detailed. It's wonderful. And then next to it is the Super Mario Encyclopedia. This was done for the 30th anniversary of Super Mario. Next to that is the Hyrule Historia books, both the Historia itself, Art and Artifacts, and Encyclopedia. These are up to and including the Skyward Sword series, so it does not include anything Breath of the Wild. We also have a very cute cat Zio, as you can see. Next to the books, though, is Mega Man artwork art book, and then the Sonic the Hedgehog encyclopedia. And then finally there is the Kingdom Hearts Ultimania guide, a Dragon Quest illustrated guide, and a really cool Ys art book. Unfortunately, it only goes up to Ys 7, so that means it's missing 8, 9, and 10. And then finally, the Art of Uncharted trilogy. And finally, we have my PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 physical collection. So we're going to focus on the west wall, and I'll just point out some of the games that are shown here. And these are just a couple handful of PlayStation 3, 2, and 1 games. Nothing too crazy, but there are a couple pickups that I've gotten even most recently, like the Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Personas 3 and 4. And it's just really cool to be able to pick up those games now. But the heart of the west wall is a lot of the items that was a closet, and we've since taken out the doors and sort of turned it into like a console arcade section. And we've got Mortal Kombat 2 and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, both of these by Arcade 1-Up. And as previous videos of mine have shown, both with and without the excellent Feral Inferno, we are really hoping that Nintendo does a collab with Arcade 1-Up. And part of me really does, but part of me doesn't, because I have no idea where I would put a Nintendo Arcade 1-Up arcade cabinet. But I would get it. I would definitely get it. And the top part of the closet contains the consoles sections. And with this, it has all of the consoles that are really like 6th gen and beyond, including PlayStation 2, 3, the Wii, Wii U, and the GameCube. Then we got a couple of the mini units, both of the Sega Genesis minis, as well as the NES and SNES Classic editions, a couple of the collector's editions of Metroid Dread, Tunic, and Trinity Trigger, as well as some handheld consoles. You can see Jamie Owl's 3DS, my Game Boy Advance, my 3DS, and my PSP. And then in the back is some fantastic art, and these are of old units of the NES controllers, SNES controllers, and a Game Boy. So these are really cool to be able to feature and backlight over this section of the west wall. And we've got up here all of the penny arcades for the Super Mario series celebrating 35th edition, though for some reason, I don't know why, I managed to forget the Super Mario Sunshine penny arcade. Don't know why I did that, but... And another section here, I'm going to move by the door, and we've got some Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi little canvas pops, along with a Super Mario RPG Super Famicom version of the cartridge and box. And the last section of the west wall actually features none of my stuff. This actually is all of Jamie Owl's that she and I have both worked to collect. It includes art of Crash Bandicoot and Nathan Drake. I also got this Eat, Sleep, Game, Repeat, sort of as a moniker of the Game Room. And we have got Jamie Owl's fantastic video game collection. We've got all of her PlayStation 4 games on the shelf and her PlayStation 5 games on this display cabinet. She has done a really excellent job of playing through a great number of these titles, and it really should be noted that what you see for PlayStation 4 and 5, she's played through maybe about 80% of it at least. And then she's got her old school PS2 games. You'll see a lot of Tomb Raider, Spyro, and Sims, and of course the excellent Simpsons Hit and Run. And then you got her small collection of Wii U and 3DS games, along with her respectable Nintendo Switch one. But her collection of stuff, we've got one entire display cabinet of her figures and statues. And starting with these really cool, cute Spyro statues, PVC figures that were from first 4 figures, as well as Crash Bandicoot here. And below that, we have this excellent Tomb Raider statue, and I believe this is her from Tomb Raider 3, but of course it looks pretty much the same as Tomb Raiders 1 and 2, and she really looks like how she did it, or does, in the Tomb Raider remasters that have released in Valentine's Day 2024. And we of course have Aloy here from Horizon Zero Dawn, a couple of Jamie Owl's copies of the video games, and I believe this figure was from Dark Horse. And we have Jamie Owl's really excellent Spyro shrine here. You see a picture of Spyro in the background, but we have 3 great statues, again from First 4 Figures, and these really detail the excellent expression of how Spyro himself looks. And you of course have his PlayStation 1 look, and then you have this sort of bust of Spyro, and this one I believe is the crowning jewel of her collection, and it is Spyro flying with sparks over water. You can sort of see some crystals in the background. First 4 Figures really did an excellent job of this. And then finally we have this fantastic Renoa with Angelo statue. The detail of it is fantastic, and it just overall puts together Jamie Owl's fantastic video game collection and shrine. So I hope you enjoyed the tour of our game room here. We've had a lot of additions since the last time that we did this in 2022. So make sure you let me know in the comments section below what you liked, what you'd like to see added. And don't forget, if you have done tours of your game room yourself, include links to that in the comments below, because I'd like to see your rooms and everything like that. Thanks again for joining, and have a great day.